Hello everyone, my name is Dara Rath and I'm the pastor at Faith Lutheran Church in Port Elgin. And each week I'm telling you a story or reading an essay that takes about 5 minutes to watch and bringing you different authors, wonderful writing by different people. And so this week, this story is from Flowers in the Wind by Reverend Robert Coos, and he got the story from Brian Kavanagh in his book called Sower Seeds of Encouragement. So here's the story. This is a true story, and it's really a really interesting story. Kindness is a virtue that shows itself in tenderness and concern for others, pleasantness, a mild disposition, and charity. The opposites of kindness are harshness and cruelty. However, at times kindness can indeed result in rewards, and that is exactly what happened to a man in the following story. Several years ago, 2 young men were working their way through Stanford University. Because they were chronically penniless, they came up with a plan to make some money for themselves. They decided to invite a famous pianist, Paderewski, to do a recital. What they raised from the recital could then help them pay for their room and board. Mr. Paderewski's manager told the young men that they had to guarantee that the pianist would receive $2,000 from the event. That was a lot of money in those days, but the young men agreed and began to promote the concert. When the concert was finally held, they found that they had only grossed a mere $1,600. After the concert, the 2 young men told the great artist the bad news, that they gave him the entire $1,600 along with a promissory note for $400. They told Mr. Paderewski that they would earn the remainder of the money as soon as they could and then send him the $400 they owed. It seemed to them that this was the end of their college careers. Well, Mr. Paderewski, however, surprised them with an unexpected kindness. He said, "No, boys, that won't do." Then he tore up the promissory note and returned the $1,600 to them also. He then said, "Now, I want you to take out of this $1,600 all of your expenses and keep 10% of the balance of your schoolwork. Let me have the remainder." Because of the kindness of Mr. Paderewski, the 2 young men were able to stay in college. Some years passed, and World War I came and went. Mr. Paderewski, now Prime Minister of Poland, was struggling to feed thousands of his citizens who were starving. He knew that there was only one man in the whole world who could help him, Herbert Hoover, who was in charge of the United States Food and Relief Bureau at that time. Mr. Hoover was happy to help Premier Paderewski, and soon he sent thousands of tons of food to Poland. After the starving people were fed, Premier Paderewski went to Paris to thank Mr. Hoover for his generosity. "That's all right, Mr. Paderewski," Mr. Hoover replied. "Besides, you don't remember it, but you helped me once when I was a student at college and I was in trouble. Because of you, I was able to finish college." Now, inspirational stories like this lead us to reflect on the theme at hand, the virtue of kindness. A virtue is a character trait of a person that promotes well-being. Reverend Coos writes, "The opposite of a virtue is a vice. Virtues become strong when they are practiced over and over again. If we don't practice a particular virtue, it can fade and may even develop vices to take their place. I like to think of virtues as the flowers in the garden of the soul. When they are tended and nourished with constant care, they flourish and are quite beautiful. Fortunately for us, There are many opportunities to practice the virtue of kindness all around us. In fact, in our country, there's even a movement that encourages people to practice acts of kindness. It's a delightful feeling to help someone in a totally surprising way. One may practice kindness by allowing someone with a few groceries to go ahead in the checkout line in the grocery store. A simple smile can brighten up another's day and mean more than one can possibly imagine. Isn't that a wonderful story about Mr. Paderewski and Mr. Hoover? So tune in next week for another story, another essay. Take 5. Blessings on your day.